Today, maritime security is a global concern.
The Pacific is the lifeblood for millions of people with deep ties between sea and culture.
This connection between our culture and the way we do things in the Pacific are almost the same.
But illegal fishing and transnational crime are threatening people's way of life.
One thing about illegal fishing, they catch sharks and they cut the fins.
Before we can see tuna, we can see them jumping and moving around. But now, we can't see them anymore. It's declining and that's worrying.
Fish that is unregulated, unreported or caught illegally, and it doesn't come into our coffers as trade, we lose out a lot on the money, and it has a lot of social problems that comes in with.
But Pacific people are facing these challenges head-on together.
As long as you are in the Pacific, we are facing the same challenge of looking after the biggest ocean in the world.
Maritime security is fundamental. It is essential to ensure that our people, their sources of food, livelihood, economic development are safeguarded. And it is not a challenge that we are complacent with. We recognize that the stakes are really high.
The Pacific is rich in culture and resources. Communities here have relied on the Blue Pacific for generations. The daily commute to work or school is often by sea. But this is a way of life that's under threat. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing and climate change are impacting fish stocks. And transnational crime is an ever-present challenge. So what are Pacific Island countries doing to protect their exclusive economic zones and unique marine environments? The answer is cooperation. It's a story of the power of partnership. It's the story of the guardians of the Blue Pacific.
It's really beautiful having the wind blowing against your face when you are out there and enjoying the beautiful atmosphere and freshness of the ocean, and everything around it was so beautiful. So that is why growing up around the sea, it's my life.
It basically is a part of us ever since we've grown up as children. And once we've grown up, we've seen the importance and the vital importance of protecting our seas and also security within the maritime domain.
Our ancestors and our history and cultures, where we are people of the sea. So Blue Pacific continent is a concept that embodied our history, our culture, and our connection. Rather than being small and isolated, we are connected.
I'm a fisherman. I've learned it from my great-grandparents. It's a lifestyle. So when the sea is rough or weather is rough, you will see fishermen going out looking for fish at sea.
My ancestors are seafaring people. In fact, my name, that's where I belong. My family names, it's rooted on navigation, on sailing. what they did in those many years ago is still what we pursue right now. And it is an honor to say and understand now that the Blue Pacific Ocean is more of a reality that connect our past and what we do now and what we expect to look after so that we pass it down for the next generation.
All the Pacific Islands somehow have a connection. Our ancestors traveled by sea, and this connection between our culture and the way we do things here in the Pacific are almost the same. Most of the island countries here in the Pacific, their livelihood relied entirely on the sea.
What I've learned from my great-grand bubus or fathers, now I'm learning my children too. This living standing is passing on to new generations.
The trade that's coming out of the fishing industry was more than $1 billion. So if that fish that is unregulated, unreported, or caught illegally, and it doesn't come into our coffers as trade, we lose out a lot on the money, and that money impacts a whole lot of people, as it has a trickle-down effect, especially in terms of development, in terms of raising the standards of living, and it has a lot of social problems that comes in with when you talk about illegal fishing.
All our problems and our survival and all that we depend on is in the domain of the maritime. We are looking after a very big area in a vast maritime space. So the challenge is always common, right in Tonga or in our neighbors. As long as you are in the Pacific, we are facing the same challenge of looking after the biggest ocean in the world.
Illegal fishing is very prevalent in the Pacific areas. They take away the marine resources of the country, and then it's very detrimental to the economy of PNG.
Illegal, unreported, and unregulated, or IUU fishing, is fishing that is against the rules and regulations of the region, including catch sizes or species that are not reported accurately or not reported at all.
One thing about illegal fishing, they catch sharks and they cut the fins, they collect the fins and they just dump the whole body of sharks in the sea. So, like clamshell, they used to harvest a clamshell and they remove the muscle and the whole parts from the clamshell, they just dump it in the sea, which damage the environment of the sea.
IUU also includes any fishing vessel that is without nationality or fishing in unregulated areas.
People from outside they must have license or something to come and fish in the Vanuatu borders. But sometimes people from outside they fish for the fish that we are protecting them. That's why some of the fish is illegal to fish because of the fishes population.
IUU fishing is an economic and environmental crime that's happening across the Pacific.
They use the bleach, they put it in the sea, and then that kills the fish and they'll just come up. So they don't do the long method of waiting and fishing. They just do the shortcut of putting the bleach, and then the fish will just die and float up, and they'll just collect the fish. That'll damage our marine environment, that can also affect our economy, and also for the livelihood of communities and individuals that also affect their lives.
It's one of the reasons why the Pacific Islands Forum Fisheries Agency, or FFA, was established. The FFA helps countries manage fishery resources that fall within the exclusive economic zones, or EEZs, which extend 200 nautical miles beyond a country's coastline. The FFA works with members to ensure sustainable fisheries, healthy ecosystems, and to combat IUU fishing.
FFA was established by our Pacific leaders in 1979 to advise our member countries on how best to develop, manage, and protect our valuable tuna fisheries resources.
The collaborative efforts of FFA members has led to the effective management of tuna stocks across the region. But IUU fishing is an ever-present threat to sustaining those stocks, as well as a threat to Pacific communities and economies.
As a highly migratory resource, and as the greatest natural renewable resource that is shared by all of our member countries, tuna cannot be managed effectively by just one country. It requires regional effort, and that's where FFA comes in. In 2015, FFA commissioned a quantification study on IUU fishing. We wanted to estimate what is the scale and extent of the illegal fishing cost to our communities, our countries. This study revealed two findings that are really important to us. One is that the estimated loss of fish and economic revenue that's associated with that from our waters is over $150 million US. Two, that our greatest challenge in illegal fishing are not the purely illegal fishing vessels that fish without a license. Our greatest challenge are our licensed vessels misreporting their catch. And so the continued investments in tools to ensure that we can better catch data and verify that data. A more recent quantification study has revealed that, in fact, the numbers have been driven down. In terms of the economic loss to our countries associated with illegal fishing, this sits at just over $40 million US. So that's a significant gap from the earlier study in terms of the $150 million that we saw in the first study to this $40 million that we see in the second study. It's still a huge number. So we're just not complacent. But we recognize that the credit for this work, it's to the tools that the members have put in place. It's to the continued effort and commitment from the members to ensure that we continue to bring down illegal fishing in our region. It's also due to better data, better reporting that's happened since the last study. For example, there's been a 10-fold increase in the port monitoring that's been undertaken on longliners in port that's really assisted with this work as well.
Australia is an active member of and contributor to the FFA. Member nations of the FFA also have access to the Pacific Maritime Security Program, an Australian government initiative.
Yeah, Air Force has been helping us patrol our borders and ensure that the fishing boats are here are legally registered. So we're going to benefit from them paying the fish to be here. And then illegal fishing boats, we don't want them in.
His Royal Highness Crown Prince Tupoto A Ulakalala of Tonga spoke of the importance of Pacific Island countries working together to enhance regional maritime security.
When we keep our maritime space safe, it also helps our neighbor. It can also contribute to a larger, safer neighborhood. And at the very core of our partnerships and our cooperation is having a win-win actions for each other.
45 minutes. It's not only any emergency, we just ask them.
The impacts of illegal fishing on Tonga is both an economic issue and it's a food security issue. The people here in Tonga, they are entitled to benefit from the fishing in the maritime domain, and that does not happen, of course, with illegal fishing.
Our ocean is central to our Pacific way of life. Culturally, for food security, for economic development. For example, the revenue from the tuna fishery sector helps to build schools, hospitals, roads, much needed infrastructure. So our ocean is a lifeline for our people. Our tuna resources provides over $480 million in government revenue annually, noting that it provides over $900 million in export earnings. Illegal fishing is not just a national or regional challenge, it's a global challenge. So what it tells us is that it requires cooperation. And this is the cornerstone for the success of FFA, is ensuring that the Secretariat, our members, our partners are working together to combat illegal fishing. FFA's platform for cooperation, bringing our people together to build strong work relations and work together to achieve together. Ensuring food security, ensuring financial security, all of that contributes to the overall security of our region. Ensuring that our cooperation is not just within fisheries, but across the broader law enforcement agencies.
Previously, we used to have the main threat that we used to have was illegal fishing, but now dynamics have changed. It has shifted towards narcotics, drug smuggling, and also human trafficking.
One of the cornerstones for the success of the FFA lays with accurate surveillance of the vast seas of the Pacific. This is done through a combination of satellites and both contracted and Australian Defence Force aircraft in support of FFA efforts.
We've got people here in Samoa with Australia's contribution to a multinational effort to support the Southwest Pacific nations in enforcing their economic zones for fisheries. So we received requests or tasking from the forum fisheries agencies to patrol certain areas around the Pacific to enforce their fisheries zones and to identify and photograph any fishing vessels for further confirmation that they're operating in accordance with licences.
It's going quite well, actually. We've been quite successful in detecting a number of points of interest and reporting them back up through the FFA.
If, example, if a illegal fishing boat is spotted in Fiji waters and it's traveling to Vanuatu, they will put a tag on it, and wherever it goes, whenever it arrives at the port, then it gets inspected and to confirm the illegal activities, whether they've got so much stuff on board or they're not supposed to fish for sharks, but they've got sharks on board. So this is where we share those information, and it's beneficial to all the countries that we are sharing this information together.
Inevitably in our fisheries work, we will come across challenges which are not neatly within our tasks. And so ensuring that our cooperation is not just within fisheries, but across the broader law enforcement agencies, such as customs, immigration, and maritime police. And there's an excellent effort within the region to support that.
Protecting the fisheries is a collective effort, but it does not stop with just illegal fishing. Illicit drugs and crime are also a focus, with member countries participating in cooperative exercises to protect the Pacific.
We're really looking forward to this exercise group, especially with the Australian Defence Force. Not just one of us can solve all the problems that we all have. So we're looking forward to broaden that assistance and not just for fisheries, but in other areas such as transnational crime.
Previously, we used to have the main threat that we used to have was illegal fishing, but now dynamics have changed. It has shifted towards narcotics, drug smuggling, and also human trafficking, which has changed the dynamics of how we operate and also the domain we operate in. We got drugs that was washing up our shores. It was quite overwhelming to see what you see in the movies and experience yourself firsthand of what is washing up on our shores and the crimes associated with it and the social problems that comes with it, which is very challenging for us to try and curb that or try and stop it from entering our shores.
Climate change and sea level rise are deadly and existential threats to Tuvalu and low-lying atoll countries. We are sinking, but so is everyone else.
The effect of climate change washes away coastal infrastructure and homes. Pacific Island countries are vulnerable to increasing intensity and number of extreme weather events like drought, tropical cyclones, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions.
There are several threats to our region. Foremost is climate change.
In December 2021, an eruption began in a submarine volcano off the Tongan coast in the southern Pacific Ocean. The eruption reached a very large and powerful climax nearly 4 weeks later on 15th of January 2022 with a subsequent tsunami. The cleanup effort was massive. Tonga's Pacific neighbors rallied to help, which is a testament that the Pacific family are there not only to fight crime, but to help in the time of need.
So we're on the island of Pangai Mutu, helping clear the debris from one of the homes. It's hard not to put yourself in their shoes.
The Fiji Army here in Tonga is very proud of our contribution to the regional assistance to Tonga as part of the Australian-led Tonga Operation Assistance.
It's been very rewarding to know that we have done something for the people here and that we as the ADF can provide that capability to them.
Although under, terrible circumstances, I feel privileged in a way to support my island home.
My parents are born back in Tonga and they come down to Australia and still got family there to this day, so great experience. Able to go home and help my people, my homeland, and especially in uniform.
To be a part of this mission, heading back to Tonga, is very emotional. Not only representing the ADF and all my brothers and sisters who are currently serving or have served, but including my family, both back at home and around the globe.
If it wasn't for Australia and some of our development partners, I guess we won't be where we are right now in terms of getting some normalcy in some of the communities that were hard hit by the tsunami on the 15th of January. So, malo of it.
From cleaning up destructive debris to planting mangroves to reduce erosion in Fiji, it's important for our partnerships to always be active.
Well, the plan to plant 1 million mangroves, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's brought all of us together to work as a bit of a team, and to see what they do here and how they live is pretty interesting as well. But yeah, to bring the nations together, it's been pretty special to be a part of.
Well, the day went pretty smoothly, but it was pretty fast. We had anticipated that we were going to plant the 20,000, but we moved up to about 50 to 60,000 planting. So I saw the soldiers and the sailors, they were enjoying themselves whilst they were planting the mangroves this morning. On behalf of the government of Papua New Guinea, it gives me a great pleasure of officially receiving the 4th Guardian Class Patrol boat.
We have vast areas. There is many islands, but this patrol boat is very easy for us to do our task. So this is a very good patrol boat that we have.
Protecting the vast Pacific is one challenge that can only be done with the right tools. The Guardian-class patrol boat is that critical tool, enabling forces across the Pacific to do their important work. 12 Pacific Island nations and Timor-Leste are receiving the Guardian-class patrol boats, which have been built and delivered by the Australian government.
It's with great pride and accomplishment that we present the latest Guardian-class patrol boat. The FSS Toshiwo Nakayama is the 14th of 21 Guardian-class patrol boats.
We're therefore happy to be here today to celebrate the handing over and naming of the RS IPV Taro, and it marks another significant milestone in our deep and enduring partnership.
The SSHIW2 will be a valuable asset to the crew and the Division of Marine Law Enforcement.
On behalf of the government of Papua New Guinea, it gives me a great pleasure of officially receiving the 4th Guardian-class patrol boat.
And it's not just about surveillance for fisheries, it's also here for illegal actions at sea, transfer of narcotics, illegal trade, search and rescue, and evacuations.
I believe that we can do more compared to the old boat, and we can do it more efficiently.
May the Guardian-class boat help to keep our waters safe for generations to come. God bless Australia, God bless Samoa, God bless us all. Soifu.
Tonga has had 2 Guardian-class patrol boats in operation since 2020. Tonga consists of 169 islands, and having the vessels to enable security aid and assistance to the islands proved invaluable after the Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai volcanic eruption and subsequent tsunami in 2022.
The Guardian-class patrol boats, it allows us to patrol our seas under our own ways, and helps with maritime security by our cooperation together, but in respect of each other's sovereignty. I believe the Guardian-class patrol boats brings value by giving us the capability to fulfill our mandates. There is no other way we can fulfill these roles in support of our country at large without the Guardian-class patrol boat.
We have the Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai volcanic eruption and tsunami. Guardian-class patrol boat were very instrumental in putting out those assistance and moving people from those worst affected islands. So both our Guardian-class patrol boat played key roles in our humanitarian assistance and recovery phase. Having the Guardian at the right time here in Tonga with that disaster, it really helps us.
The Guardian-class patrol boats not only gives the Tonga Navy a platform where they are able to affect the maritime security space, but also provides Army in direct support of Navy, showing presence on the isolated islands, which can be used for drug smuggling. We're in the middle of a massive ocean, We're on a small island with a growing population. We cannot afford to let that kind of problem manifest and grow.
Having the capability of the Guardian-class patrol boats has been really, really vital in our works here in our waters. Throughout the past years, we've managed to catch people with illegal activities within our waters. One of the few challenges we've been facing lately is the incoming of pleasure crafts and yachts, and it poses a threat of drugs and smuggling illegal stuff into our country. And I think that's what we're facing now in the Navy. Managing systems within the ship has been more easier now that everything's computerized. And as a navigator, I've never worked in a better ship than the Guardian-class patrol boats. My work has been very much easier on it.
Like Tonga, Papua New Guinea has its own challenges securing their sovereign waters. The Australian government is committed to ensuring the vessels serve each nation for generations to come.
The support that we get from the ADF, we get a lot of support. It's like without the ADF, to be honest, I don't see these patrol boats running. Like example, they're here, they look after us in terms of logistics. They look after us in terms of maintenance. They are the upkeep of the vessels, the routine maintenance, everything. The one that, like in the Navy, that we actually do is called the Sovereign Patrol. That's, it's all to do with sovereignty. We go from port to port, ensuring that some isolated islands, we help them in HADR, stuff like that, human aid, disaster relief. Other patrols that we mainly focus on is the Fisheries Patrol. We have a MOU with them. What we do is we do patrols on their behalf. So we go around doing fisheries patrol, and there's also other government agencies where in the past we also do patrols on their behalf as well, like customs, immigration, and stuff like that.
In Solomon Islands, it's their police force that runs their 2 Guardian-class patrol boats, in a country consisting of 6 major islands and over 900 smaller islands.
Without those 2 boats, for remote areas, I don't think we can do. That is the only source where we can reach on remote islands.
We have vast areas. There's many islands, but this patrol boat, it's catered for us, police officers, police maritime. We always do the patrol boat covering our EZ. And for patrol for our EZs, it's very easy for us to do our task. So this is a very good patrol boat that we have. The Australian government also funded us with maintenance. The Australian government still support the Solomon Islands with our 2 Guardian patrol boats. We as a police officer are really proud of these two boats that we have here.
The capability of this boat, we can go as far as the EEZ is still okay. We do the best in the EEZ. We enforce the fisheries laws. They're out in the sea. Thing is much safer comparing to other past years when we have smaller boats. The Australian Defence, they do us a lot, just like they do the training, especially for the boarding trainings, to make us capable of doing our jobs when we went out to the sea.
It's our job to make sure that this crew are able to fully use this vessel to the best of its ability to patrol their economic zones and enforce maritime law enforcement.
I was the first person in Vanuatu to do the Maritime Warfare Officers course back in Australia.
The Royal Australian Navy is proactive in ensuring that Pacific partners are equipped and ready to operate the patrol boats for whatever need may come.
I'm here with 7 of my team, and we're here to work up the crew of Remelik 2, the Palauan patrol boat.
The ADF, they support us a lot with a lot of our operations that we do. They're here to give advice, and they also support us with assets and stuff like that through the DCP program. Like this is one good example here now.
We know how to operate with each other through interoperability programs such as Exercise Kakadu, and it has been a huge learning curve for us to go and operate with other navies from around the world.
The main milestones that we'll get the crew through, they've already achieved their mariner skills evaluation, which means that they can safely operate the vessel. They'll conclude with their mission readiness evaluation, which will enable them to fully utilise the vessel's main capability.
The training was very good for us because we don't get that type of training a lot. So it is very good for the crew, especially the new members who will be this was their first time to go through training like that, and the sea training group really put out and made us work a little bit harder.
It's our job to make sure that this crew are able to fully use this vessel to the best of its ability to patrol their economic zones and enforce maritime law enforcement on the seas around Palau. They have a very large exclusive economic zone up there in the Micronesian archipelago.
In terms of training, they send us for a lot of trainings, especially now with the new patrol boats. The new courses now running down in TAFE in Cairns, where all those courses are compatible to these ships. So, they send us for trainings to ensure that the crew on board are qualified and are competent to run these platforms.
Common priority is to account for all personnel.
I was the first person in Vanuatu to do the Maritime Warfare Officers course back in Australia. When I was studying in Australia, our classes uses simulators. In the simulators, it's really helpful, like for us beginners who never drive a ship before, just been on board. It's like it gets your mind started, like you are in the ocean sailing to actually driving a ship.
I went down to AMC 2007 and 2013. Enjoy staying with them and getting more knowledge from the trainers down at Tasmania, especially Australia Maritime College.
We are trained and we are equipped with the knowledge to counter the challenges that we have, especially coming from brown water navy and going to study with some blue water navy countries like Australia. It broadens our knowledge and also opens up our eyes with the challenges that they face, which are also coming into our doorstep day to day.
Naval and maritime training is an essential tool to combating the everyday challenges on the water. Multiple operations and exercises are run each year to enable defense and law enforcement crews to train and work together, equipping officers with the skills needed to deal with developing challenges.
Vanuatu takes part with Solomon Islands, Fiji, to do these operations. And what we normally do is we patrol together in a certain way, day and night. And also we do boarding exercises. We get to learn from other countries how they deal with these situations. We get to learn from them and they get to learn from us in a different country.
And some of us go on attachments on Australian ships and learn how they operate, and also come back and try and teach us the ways that they operate and try and keep us in par with the way they operate.
I
I went to Australia to be attached on board HMS Armidale for 3 months. There's only 2 female officers with the Fiji Navy. There's myself, and I have another one who's in Australia at the moment, also doing her navigation course there. I had the opportunity to be part of Operation Resolute, where they were doing maritime border security. Also exercise Kakadu. I was on board RFNS Savanada, where we went to Australia for exercise Kakadu, and where other nations, other navies were part of. We stayed along the coastal areas of Australia, just doing exercises on the coastal areas. And then we'll all come together out at sea once again and do one exercise together before we end the exercise Kakadu. We have a few exercises annually to help out in our AEZ patrolling. I hope in the future there will be more exercises.
I believe the importance of maritime security gives us a much better environment for us to live in and our children to grow up in.
And I hope that one time there's just going to be an all-female crew doing one exercise, hopefully in the future.
So I'm expecting my first child and protecting my baby back at home, and also my work, love doing it, like protecting the Vanuatu waters in the countries. It's really a good thing for me.
That is really important to my life because I'm living on it. And it is important to look after that ocean too.
The future of Royal Solomon Islands Police Force, I think it's very bright. So we are looking forward for other trainings or other things to come.
My hope for our future is that our children take over this incredible work to help our people.